that's why you see us organizing much smaller meetups. This meetup was actually supposed to be small, but it kind of grew a lot bigger. But the goal is to basically foster more collaborative discussions rather than just going and attending a meetup or something where you could have just gone to a YouTube video and basically seen stuff. So basically what you guys can do to help us build this community is, I think the two main things is find us some good speakers. We don't really care that much of sponsors. We are more concerned of speakers. I hope you guys are liking this meetup, and I think the whole pretotyping. As Alberto said, tweet, Facebook, or whatever social network you use. You can also post, if you come from Meetup, post the photos on Meetup web page, which is our page for the particular event. And that would be very helpful for us, kind of thing. And if you guys know friends who are founders, or even people who basically work with other founders and this thing, that would be a good candidate to be a part of our meetup, kind of thing. And the last one is like, if you guys, this is our URL, meetup.com/svfounders. So this is again, most of the people have come from Meetup, but the folks who have not come from our Meetup, it's meetup.com/svfounders. Thank you.
All right, I don't know, we turn off the light, they're not coming back on, but that's fine. So I know some of you would like more time, but you're actually going to learn more by hearing how I criticize other people's pretotype, by spending more time on your own little inbreeding concepts. So, yes?
I want to go if I can be criticized.
You don't want to go?
I want to go.
Yeah, you will be criticized. Yeah. In fact, you'll come first. Come on. Now, fortunately, you know, I told Ash, you know, the ideal group size is like 20 to 25. We have twice as many people. I said, oh, only half the people show up. Now it sounds like twice as many showed up. So we're going to have to kind of keep it short. So there's going to be flash intervention. However, after this, you know, if you have the time, sometime in the afternoon, we're going to reserve, say, 90 minutes if people want to come in for a little private consultations, so we can do that. So here's how it's going to work. You're going to describe your idea very quickly and how you're going to pretotype it, and then I'm going to slam it down or thumbs up. All right.
My name's Walter. My idea is personalized health risk calculator. What happened is my brother just passed away last week because of stroke. God. And another coworker also passed away last week because of a stroke. And so I
move away from you.
What happened is I'm an engineer, I know nothing about medicine, so I wrote an app on my phone, and then 3 parts inside. The first part is to educate you what's the early signs of the stroke. The second part is emergency mode. You hit a button, then send a group SMS to the friends you set up with your personal data, like what medicine you are taking, allergy things. So hopefully when you get to the hospital, before they put anything in it, it won't be from something you're allergic to and die before even any surgery, things like that. So the last part is prevention. And this is part we want to do the pretotype. The prevention part will you enter your personal data, say for example your weight, age, smoking, non-smoking, history of diabetes in the family, what's your systolic blood pressure, all this data. Then it will go to a big data medical information provider in the back end, and then you will return with the response like JSON and then all the health risks. Say for example, what's your risk of diabetes, what's your risk of cancer, what's your risk of heart attack, what's your risk of stroke.
Okay, we get it. How are you going to pretotype it?
Pretotype, we think about 3 ways. One is one night stand. I go to a library type of things, community center, and then show them about this, and then ask anyone wants to pay $1 to get the data information. I don't make money, but the data service I use will charge me money, so I have to come up with a ways to see what are the interests for people who pay $1 to know their risk. And the second one is I'm thinking to do a fake door. I put a website up, and then the website will have one page, nothing I will write in the JSON, all this thing in the back end. You enter your data, then I will use the mechanical chunk, I will be the man in the box, to calculate out all this thing for him, and then send him back an email with your risk of cancer is 10%, your risk of stroke is 15%, but if you change your BMI, drop some weight, or small smoking, then your weight will change from 50% to only 1%. So go do it now, something like that. So these are the 3 ideas we think about to people.
Very good. So very clever. You're not spent much time actually building the app, right? Most.
I finished building the first two parts already. The last part require, this is a charity project. The last part require money is the thing that I'm here today.
Okay.
I don't know how to know if people are willing to
Would
pay
use it,
that
exactly.
money. I need to pay the back-end service before I put it up. Because if I put it up, then I sign a contract with that back-end service, I will be broke.
That's right.
And yeah, I'm an engineer making it no money. I kind of everybody check their health risk, and I pay for all of them.
Good, bravo. Congrats for being here. So yeah, out of all of this, I think, I don't have much negative to criticize, except you already built some. Yeah, the mechanical Turk is fantastic. The fake door, you'll find out how you're going to draw people to come to your website. If we have time later, I'll show you some actual live fake door examples running now. A service is called After I Go, which is very similar to yours. What happens when your friends die, live for their family. So right now, there's an actual fake door example running with Google and Facebook ads that will teach you what is going to be my customer acquisition cost. So don't go and tell people that After I Go is a fake door, because you'll screw up our experiment. All right, this was this entire table.
Yeah.
Pretty good. I give you a B+.
Oh, thank you.
Doesn't count for anything.
Emotional support.
Emotional. All right, what about you guys?
Yeah, we have. Yes. So, we chose the first one, Paul's book. So we're the team from Sweden, and Jonathan and myself, I'm Vivek. So we chose Paul's book, and it says here, social network for pets. So the first question we had was, is this a social network for pet owners to help pets socialize, or is it a social network for actually pets themselves? And we thought it'd be most interesting to take the latter, so we chose the latter one. So we started to scratch our heads, how would the pets socialize? So we said, well, I have an experience where my parents-in-law's dog in Japan, we do Skype calls, but that dog doesn't respond at all to the Skype. Doesn't know anything, the voice, the video, nothing. But my colleague here says, actually, there's another dog that actually responds to the voice. So my dog must have been a stupid dog. So we said, okay, let's try it out. Let's test if they respond to Skype. Because we had this idea. The idea is to actually create a touch screen-based iPad that the dog can respond to, that just taps the iPad and can directly reach the owner who's not at home, or touch another part of the iPad, or use a second iPad, and that's selling 2 devices. They can go and reach maybe another dog that they're friends with. So we thought of this, and we said, oh, wait, we're not going to build this rugged, biteable iPad first, so we're going to test it. So what we thought is we'll go to the neighborhood. That's where we were prototyping. We'll go to the neighborhood, and we won't even bring our devices. We'll say, use your computer and turn on Skype. Bring your dog close to the Skype and test out the interaction with my dog here at home. And we wanted to go around the neighborhood and run a survey to say, okay, if we can turn this into this kind of great looking device, and we can take pictures of iPad and pretty it up with a biteable version, and some app that's just a big app, that's the icon there, can we then get some money from the customer? So we were going to ask them to pay, say, a $100 pre-order for a $500 device, which is taking an iPad mini and beefing it up with something so we can make some money out of it. So that was the kind of idea. And we thought, if the dog likes to have an interaction with their owner, and second, an interaction with another dog, and a third was a response, an idea came up here where perhaps we can have it to play. Like if it taps on this iPad, it will get a treat. And we said, well, we can't keep giving the treats. So after 2 or 3 treats, it starts to throw a ball, and the ball will go help the dog fetch it or something. So we have all this idea.
Good explanation.
Yeah.
So some good ideas. Here is showing you a case where an idea, you have multiple hypotheses that you need to test. And one of the beautiful things about the pretotyping is that you can come up with very simple pretotyping and test each hypothesis separately. Those of you who've studied enough mathematics you know, how beautiful they are. You know, it is those formulas or things that allow you to decompose things and make smaller tests. So your test need to test several things. Is, would people pay for such a device? Right. So here's how I would test that hypothesis, maybe better than you have. I would create a video. Video is a very powerful way of pretotyping for when you don't have a product, right? You get a trained dog, you create the best case scenario. Say, here's Fluffy and here's Muffy. You know, he's a boy, he's a girl, he's a Great Dane, he's a poodle. They don't care, they love each other. So you create the video with this device, and you know, and the video can be artificial, you know, can put things, and then you go to owners and say, you know, we built this, would you be interested? That's where you're testing their willingness to pay. Then, of course, you have to make sure that the dogs actually do use it. Pretotyping is not a way of cheating people. You know, infomercials are a way of cheating people. Right? People will buy anything once at 2 a.m. at night. Food dehydrator sounds like a good idea at night. So I would encourage you, if you care about making money, that's your primary thing, test the hypothesis that people will buy, and the simplest pretotypes, don't write a line of code, shoot a video, and the video explains the idea and makes it look real. And then if people go and click on it, you know that they will actually want it. And then, of course, you test the hypothesis for the dog. But whatever you do, don't invest in building 10,000 of these nose touchscreen devices. Okay, very good. Sorry, we're kind of rushing through this because we have a lot of people. What's the next group? Pass? Okay, next group. You don't have to do it. We have plenty of people, so if you guys don't feel comfortable, no problem.
Stand here, is it okay?
No, come here. Because he needs to film you.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's going to do with that, but
yeah.
Okay, we offer another idea about it, because we want to find a guide. So the idea is maybe B2C or C2C service. We want to run yourself, because when you are traveling to other country or some people, you maybe have big trip. So when you arrive at airport, you may hope some people can be your guide to take you to somewhere, maybe go to Tech Dojo, because we spend 2 hours to here. So you may want to rent yourself.
rent a local.
Yeah, rent a local. So our idea, how would you people have it? Maybe the most easy method is you can stand in airport, so you can find a huge sign, very significant, so say rent maybe $10 per hour, or maybe we can use Google document. Many people can sign up your time, what is your profession, and where are you, and you can provide your time to be a guide. Or the most easy method is maybe we can use Airbnb, and we make another scheme to use their service, but such like Uber or some other app, we use their platform to rent ourselves.
Beautiful. I mean, great job. So the idea, rent a local, and they've done one of the clever things that you need to do in pretotyping. Thank you very much. Nice to you go to where the action is. So they mentioned 3 very cool places. One I would have thought of, the airport, right? It's pretty obvious. You have the booth, and remember, you do a best case scenario pretotyping. So good-looking man, good-looking woman, say, I could be your escort in San Francisco. And now, there's no escorting is actually happening, because remember, that can be dangerous. You just want to say, oh, I'm sorry, right now we're taken. But you want to see if people would pay for it. The other one I think is brilliant with Uber or Airbnb. These are people that already have established a certain degree of trust. I'm going to go into this person's house and rent a room. I hope he's not some kind of a murderer. And kind of connect with them and see if they actually would want this service. So a lot about pretotyping. Today when you leave, you'll probably learn things that you don't do more than things that you should do. Right. So you don't worry about recruiting a bunch of people, about placing advertisement. You want to create the best case scenario, and I think the airport and Airbnb and Uber, I think they're beautiful best case scenario. Because imagine, you're there at the airport, you're there with good-looking, trustworthy, clean, well-groomed people. The service is very inexpensive, rent a Silicon Valley guide for $10. And you promise, you mention things that people would love to do. Free tour of the Google and Facebook campus.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, good
so
sale.
free tour of the Facebook campus, and free lunch at such and such. I get to meet Mark Zuckerberg. Whatever. You create the best case scenario, and if people are not willing to trust you with that, then you know that you have a very tough road going ahead. But if that works, I think it's very promising. It's a variation on the rent a mechanic. Actually, I think it's a very good thing. Wouldn't you have liked a local? Would you pay $100 for tomorrow that you're here to have a local that takes you to see a tour of Facebook, Google, the Hacker Dojo, Apple?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
your first client.
Yeah.
Would you pay me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. Perfect. No, excellent. Very good case. Who's next?
Good.
Hi. So we chose the fake mate as well, but we're thinking more about company. So like you want to go to a movie and you don't have someone to accompany you with, so you can ask someone to come along with you. So the way we want to pretotype it is that we want to set up a website just to work around one area, in particular like the city, and just offer services and see what people show up and if they sign out and whatever. And then for proms and stuff like that, when you search for dresses, like usually girls search for dresses when they're going to prom, and it's very important. So you also add to it and tie it in with another to tie it in and see if they will also get to the website. So that's pretty much.
Very good. So again, I like the combination of ideas. You tie into the prom. So those are the prostitutes idea. Except nothing is implied there.
Yeah.
And do you go and recruit people to actually do this?
No.
How do you find the photos to put on the webpage?
Oh well, we have some very good-looking friends, so we can take photos of them.
Good. Or else you just do a Google image search, just like I would say never pick images from the first page. Right? If you find, hot person or thing, don't pick the first one. Just go 10 pages down.
Yeah, good idea.
That's right. But you put it out. You don't send any of your friends on these actual dates because they might not come back.
Yeah.
But you just want to collect data that works.
Yeah. See,
Very
that's
good.
desirable.
Thank you. And by the way, you will with the Facebook and Google ads, you're going to actually collect data. You're going to see what your customer acquisition costs, right? So if we have time, I'll show you the actual example from after I go. You say, all right, let's invest $50 a day, see how many, so you search for people, proms, you want to do proms up in summer?
Yeah.
Yeah,
July.
whenever, right. So you say, I want people aged, 15 to 20. Then you buy for ads that appear on their stream, and you see, okay, usually you get to pay, $1 per click or less. So you say you spend $50 a day, you get 50 clicks that go to your fake website, and out of those you see how many actually would sign up or give you their email and get more information. And you will have a very clear idea of what your customer acquisition cost is going to be. Right. So if it's $10, it's pretty easy because this could be a $100 service. If it's $50, it's not going to work. And this is a way of actually collecting data. Thank you. Very well done. Okay, who's next?
Hi. We worked on the rent a mechanic. We thought of a three-stage prototyping strategy. So in the first one, we have a fake door. We have a sales representative at a car bending place. We approach the customer and we gauge the customer's response to being approached and being offered the service. Then we tell them, of course, there's no mechanic. The second stage is actually having a mechanic on plant. So we would have a limited preview of the actual process. And it would only be, for example, a few days, a month, or just a few days. And it would cost a few days of work of the mechanic. So the limited cost of the preview would be a benefit. Then the ending plan would be to have actually vans that can help you go purchase a vehicle. I mean, the rent a mechanic is a subset of the problem of buying a car. So if we can help the person buy a car, we can still bootstrap the resources of buying a car with the rent a mechanic. So we can also offer legal approaches and everything. And we can start testing that after we have reliable rent-a-mechanic service.
Good, very, very good. So what you wouldn't do is collect mechanics, write a book of procedures and stuff, sign up things. So I like your first thing is, you know, there are auto rows in the US, there are some streets where there's just a lot of auto dealers. Maybe you rent a van, you know, you put a big banner that says, hey, before you go and see the dealership or things, stop with us, or maybe you're at a stoplight before you enter, you know, El Camino Auto Row or one of these auto rows and say, yeah, next time get a mechanic. Put leaflets on cars, maybe let's say somebody stops to go into the dealership, you go and you put a leaflet, say, you know, contact us if you want a mechanic. This will all give you some indication. It's a best case scenario.
If the person calls, they are interested.
If the person calls. Or if you put words, you know, BMW does not start, or BMW, you know, door stuck. Try to buy some AdWords for, you know, people that search for car problems. And again, run through the analytics to learn how much it would cost to get a customer. And again, I will show you some real life data from that. But the one that I like the most is you don't write any code, you don't write any website, you just put a banner as people go into the dealership, say, you know, Bob, here's a mechanic, you know, would you like to use his services for free? Yeah. And remember, free is always the best case scenario, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We're a non-profit organization. Our goal is to make people don't get ripped off by mechanics. Very good, thank you. All right. Who really wants to do it?
Hi. Hello. So we're working on an app that is similar to Lyft or Uber, but it's more personalized for specific groups. So when I was at university, there was a group of ski and snowboarders who went up to the mountains every weekend, so going from the same place to the same destination. And so we want to make an app to facilitate the communication of ride sharing. And our MVP would be a Facebook group where people can post something and say, I'm going up at this time and I have 3 spots, and then they leave their number. So that would kind of map out how an app would do the same thing, and we'd use Twilio at some point. But that's the MVP.
Very good, great. No, you know, are you a programmer? But yeah, just because you program doesn't mean that you have to program. You know, before you write a line of code, what solutions can you use without programming? The Facebook group is a great one. You can see if people are willing to congregate, if they trust other people, and then once you build the community, if you do have the app, then you can see how many are willing to move to the actual app and go to the next level. Good. So just because you can code doesn't mean that you should code. Excellent.
I should have come a week earlier, then I don't need to code.
I know. Better late than never, my friend. Okay, thank you. All right. If you don't want to do it, you don't really have to do it because, you know, we have time. But if you do want to do it, we'd love to hear it.
Okay. The Danish group. We took the Instant app because we've just been traveling here and we had some issues with jet lag and stuff. So we figured Instant app could be a good thing for someone like us. So basically, we thought about something to help with that power nap. So maybe like 30 minutes power napping. So we thought about doing a fake door, one-night stand kind of thing in a best case scenario situation. And that would be standing in an airport in a departure terminal with some fake products, maybe just bottles like that, and putting some kind of instant app thing on the side. And we would stand with some kind of advert behind with someone, some nice looking female sleeping or something.
Or male.
Or male.
Or dogs. For dogs.
Could be dogs. And we would price it very reasonably, like $2 instant app thing, and we would try to calculate how many people are going past, how many are going to look at the product, and how many are willing to buy $2,
they should go.
Very good. So here's the people sometimes ask, hey, Alberto, what's the difference between pretotyping and MVP, et cetera, et cetera? There is nothing valuable about what he's offering, right? It's probably just water.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't say, well, I'm gonna experiment, put some, sleeping pills and then think that's a bad idea. So I'm a big fan of minimum viable products, but that implies that it's viable and that it's a product. Sometimes pretotyping, you want to do an experiment a little bit before that, and you collect data, right? And so you mark every time something happens, you mark it.
And maybe we could have a guy further down the hallway stopping the guy who bought it and saying, sorry, it was just an experiment.
That's right. And give them something free. Say, but here's something for a drink on your flight is going to help you sleep just as well as our focus program. Excellent. Thank you so much. Well, market research, some people do it well and they do it exactly like this. They try to collect actual behavior. Other people do like Crystal Pepsi and they ask for opinion. So the pretotype you just suggest would be the first step into the desirability and is going to go and collect data. Market research, a lot of people do it well and they would do exactly this. But a lot of people, market research means asking for questions. That's what we want to kill. Are there more? Okay.
So there's ethnographic market research was you're trying to observe people either in their natural environment or using their product.
Yeah, I think there is a term called reveal preferences, which is not asking, would you do this? Right, so I'm glad most of you didn't say that.
But that's often with things that exist already.
Yeah. Or with some provocation. He's essentially creating a provocation.
Yeah, so.
Okay, good. I think, again, we really shortened this and there was many more groups, so we couldn't have much focus, but we're going to do something in the afternoon where we can give you individual attention. I want to get very quickly, because what comes next is important. Data beats opinion. If you run a pretotype, you better be collecting some data, otherwise you wasted your thing. Pretotyping means all going from the world of idea to the world of data. We were at the airport. 1,000 people passed by. We stopped 200. Out of those 200, I don't know, 50 gave us $2 for this thing. That's actual data that you can take to the back. So today we only have time to discuss two types of metrics, RPI and ILI. Preto-Bayesian metric is something that only geeks like me get excited, and so people usually fall asleep when I explain, so we'll save it for some other time. So RPI, return on pretotyping investment. This is why you can't afford not to pretotype. So hopefully you're familiar with the concept of return on investment. RPI, what you do is you take what percentage would I learn by my simple pretotype and at what cost, and compare it to what you would learn by the full example versus and the full cost. So the best way to explain it, and again, I'm accelerating a little bit, is let's apply to Webvan, right? Remember, what are some of the lessons that Webvan needed to learn, ideally before spending $100 million? Some of the assumptions or hypotheses.
The actual customer participation rate they are willing to pay.
Okay, yeah, customer participation. Return, how many customers return? What else?
The percentage of people who are buying the product.
Yeah, percentage of people, yeah, some would buy.
Which foods sell better?
Yeah, which item they sell, which geographies work, so on and so forth, right? So there's a bunch of hypotheses we want to test. So remember the 1 million pretotype we had, just runs it in San Francisco and say Mountain View to have an urban city and a suburban thing. And we're going to test it, say, with 500 people in San Francisco, 500 people here. So, sorry, I'm accelerating a little bit here. So, create a high-quality website, advertise locally. When order comes in, deliver them, run the experiment for, say, 4 weeks. Now, by doing this as opposed to the full thing, what do you think you would learn? What percentage of those questions would you address and answer semi-satisfactorily compared to running the full-blown $120 million experiment? I'm looking for a percentage.
10%.
10%, good. You only learn 10%. Okay, we have a 10% to go. Who can offer better? So you, excuse me? 70%. I like that a little bit more. Now remember here, I have 1,000 people for 4 weeks, say, and I get to see how many of them sign up, do they order, do they reorder. The number we come up with, and we've done this a number of times, it's about 75%. Remember the questions we asked. We're going to ask, out of 1,000 people, how many order? How many would you reorder? Would they order it again? What kind of food do they order? 1,000 is a pretty damn good sample.
Yeah.
So you don't, you know, if your data doesn't show with 1,000 users, then probably the number is so small that you need to rethink. Okay, so let's say 75%, but it could be 50%. It's definitely more than 10%, right? Let's assume you launch it and nobody comes. You would have learned a very valuable lesson. In fact, the only thing you wouldn't learn by this pretotype is the scalability and the mechanics and the gas and the logistics, the cost of fuels and some of those details. If you run the full example at $120 million, you'd learn 100%, but here you're looking at a cost of 100 million versus 1 million. So when you look at, is this pretotype worth doing, I would say, yes, absolutely. See, the numbers are so large that, I don't care if you give me 75%, 50%. The point is, imagine how stupid you feel if you spend all of this money, you build warehouses, you launch, 2% of the people who said they were going to order, and then you go back to the VCs and said, you mean you didn't test this hypothesis before? You didn't test the average purchase price? You didn't test if people would reorder? You would feel pretty silly. So pretotyping will not guarantee success, but at least you're not going to feel stupid. You say, yes, I've actually tested this. There were some hands. No, in this case you say, well, we're going to spend $1 million.
Yeah, but the cost of P is $1 million, but the cost of Pro, like, how do you justify it?
Oh, this is actual real market data.
Yeah, I know. You can get it later on.
No, but still, you say, you have an idea. Okay, let's say, your idea of the instant app. So here's a full-blown thing. We're going to contact, this company. They're going to sell us these sleeping pills, and we're going to mix them with something that tastes like Red Bull, whatever, and then we're going to sell it, spend $1 million to get the license, manufacturing, print the pretty bottles, et cetera, et cetera. So how much does the airport experiment cost? $1,000. And it's going to take 2 days to see if people would buy this at the airport, which is a good point of sale. Now, if nobody buys, you say, okay, that doesn't work. Maybe instead of the airport, you go to the hotels, and you can do that. So yeah, you have messing up, but the point here is that the numbers are so big that always work. By the way, I was so happy, somebody sent me this photo because I talked about the Webvan vans. He said, this is the actual sale from the auction of the Webvan assets. And you still see those vans today. Now, you guys are entrepreneurs, so you care about money, but large companies actually do not care that much about money. I've had large companies tell me, Alberto, I don't care about money, I just want to be fast. So pretotyping also allows you to learn some lessons fast. Let's go back to the IBM example, all right? Remember, they didn't build anything, they just had a stenographer typing things. So compared to actually building a proper version or a prototype, how much do you think you would have learned just by running that simple experiment, percentage-wise?
1,000%.
Huh?
1,000%.
You're either 10% or 1,000%.
I was too long earlier, so I was double.
No, in this case, you would have been right. I would say, look, I'm going to put the number. Maybe we learn half. Something. We're not going to learn anything out. Can we build it? How well it will work? But we're going to answer some pretty important questions. Will people speak to a computer all day? I tell you, my throat is already hurting, so I can't imagine doing it all day. So you're going to learn a fraction of the lessons, but very quickly. Yes.
So I'm a little fuzzy on how do you measure how much you learn part.
And that's perfect. These are fuzzy, right? I cannot. This is why I put like 50%. I didn't put 51.3.
Yeah. When do I say I've learned 100%?
No, but
right?
so I tell you how I do it, right? I go back. I list all of the hypotheses. Again, we're shortening the workshop. I say, what are the hypotheses? People will buy for $10,000. Hypothesis. We can build it. Hypothesis. People will enjoy using it. CEOs will use it. Secretaries will use it. People will use it 3 hours per day. So you have, say, 10 hypotheses, and you say, out of this, with this pretotype, I can test 3. So you say, I can test about 30% of them. But you know that if those 3 don't materialize, you don't have a business. So for example, remember, decompose the pretotypes. Because if you're building the actual product, you're building one. With the pretotype, you can build them. So if one of your hypotheses is companies will pay $10,000 to buy it for their executives, right? You don't need to build anything, right? That's a completely different pretotype. You don't even need the fake door. You just do a video. By the way, in these days, this is how I would have done it. You create a video, so it's even more fake. I speak, and it gets automatically translated and say, now make it pretty printed and print it on PDF and fax it. And in the video, you can fake all of those things. So you break it down into different things. Don't focus on the number. Focus on the bottom line. It's always hard to do a pretotype, right? If you can decompose and test a hypothesis without building the whole thing, there's no good reason not to do it. So this I'm going to skip. Now, ILI and OLI, initial level of interest and ongoing level of interest. By the way, in my book, I have plenty of examples about this. There is another book called Pretotyping at Work that talks much more in depth about the metric. It was built by a colleague of mine that is an economist from the Chicago School of Business, so as much numbers as you want. ILI is the initial level of interest, and it's very important. What percentage of a target group is interested in giving it a try? And you don't need higher math for this. Let's take the airport example. You have 1,000 people walk through, and only 2 pick up your Instant app. Well, you can calculate your initial level of interest is pretty low, so you better reconsider, because usually it goes down. Now, here's something that I learned at Google. I thought of all my colleagues as guinea pigs. So by the time I left the second time, I had 30,000 colleagues, 30,000 employees. And I thought, great, I can do experiments with them. Actually, for Postbook, for the social network for friends, here's how I would have tested it at Google. I would have sent an email saying, hey guys, since we cannot compete with Facebook here, with human beings, let's try to go to the dogs. If you have a dog, you want to sign up for this, I would send it just to 1,000 people and just measure the response. If it doesn't register with 1,000, it's not going to register significantly with 10,000 and vice versa. So at Google, we have this thing called dog fooding, appropriately, where we do experiments and we start with very small numbers. So you invite 1,000 people to try your new idea. It could be, or you can even apply to the Instant app. Say, hey guys, I've developed Instant app. If you have a flight coming up, come to my office and pick one if you want. Or give me your email and I'll send it to you. Very good. You need 1,000 is a great number. And even if you're not very popular, you only have 100 friends that you can email to in your mailing list, you can use that as a starting service. So who was talking about, the local escorts or get a mechanic? Say, hey guys, this is the cheapest pretotype in the world. So who are the mechanics? You guys are the mechanic? Right. So you could say, you have at least 100 friends with emails. Okay, say, hey guys, I work with this great startup. They can have a mechanic come with you, check out the car, or help with the car. You send it to 100 of them. If nobody replies and they're your friends, then you know that the initial level of interest is going to be pretty low, right? It's sub 1%. Yeah. So there's a lot that you can learn without doing anything. And using and abusing your friends and colleagues as guinea pigs. And then just be nice. Send them a nice Starbucks certificate. So you start with the initial level of interest. You see how many people respond. Now, there is a problem with this, is that we do a lot of things once, right? Why do late night infomercials work? Right? You're there at 2 a.m., you cannot sleep because you're traveling and you have a workshop the next day, and this infomercial for a food dehydrator comes in, and you say, okay, you pay $100 for a food dehydrator, you get $40 worth of fresh fruits, and 2 days later you have some dried prunes. At 2 a.m. may sound like a good idea, right? So if your goal is to sell something once, you don't care about the initial level, the ongoing level of interest. But for most other things, you want to see what happens. So it's a ratio of people using it after a certain amount of time versus how many people use it initially. And guess what? This is typically what happens. If I've done this chart for Google Wave, actually, if anything, the green one, the people who tried it, was greater than the initial people. People were begging to be invited, and then it just dropped like a stone. So make sure that if you just look at the initial level of interest and you quit your company, usually it's kind of bad because you have to measure the ongoing level of interest. So now I have one example to bring it all together, and it's, I promise, my favorite one, Mac Spaghetti. It's also around lunchtime, so hopefully it will not disgust you too much. So you all know McDonald, you all know spaghetti, so I guess the idea was, would people buy spaghetti at McDonald? So what are some of the hypotheses that you want to test with pretotypes?
Gooey. You use gooey stuff.
Acceptance. Market acceptance.
Okay.
No, test it. Give it to a customer. Sell something good.
Okay. So, anything else?
The cost to deliver.
Okay. Cost to deliver. That's a viability. That means can I make money with it?
Quality of the food.
Excuse me?
Quality of the food.
Okay.
Just put it on the menu and see if people order it.
Exactly. Thank you. Did you cheat?
Yeah.
Had you seen it
I
before?
cheated.
Yeah, you cheated. Okay, good. I appreciate. I love your honesty.
Sorry.
Yeah. So, all right. That's why a single workshop is not enough. Read the book, download it, it's free. Watch the Stanford video and get it in your head. A lot of the question, GUI doesn't matter. You don't even cook. Your first prototype, you must not cook. Just like I say, if you're a programmer, you have an idea for an app. The first thing is, what can I test without coding? If it's a food set, what can I test without cooking? So what do? You go into you own a McDonald, put it on the freaking menu. It says Max Spaghetti. So I'm going to demote you to a McDonald cashier. All right? So I come to you. We're going to do a fake door. Say, Max Spaghetti. I think I'm going to try that. What do you do?
Unfortunately, we're out of it today. But would you have you tried it in the past, maybe?
Okay,
Oh, I'm sorry. Have you ordered it in the past? Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself.
No, you can't do that yet, right? Because you're thinking ahead. You say, I'm sorry, we don't have it. Here's a coupon for some free fries, and you write it down.
Very good idea.
Remember that you have to collect data. Now you know that this is a good prototype with skin in the game because the guy was ready to pay.
Yeah.
Okay, so now suppose you run this experiment. So I've actually, among my credits, I have taught at Hamburger University on the McDonald campus. Which is a great honor. Thank you. And they actually have a Hamburger University, that beautiful classroom. And so I've learned there that an item needs to be on the menu. To stay on the menu, it has to be ordered at least 4% of the time. Okay, so let's assume you do this experiment and you go back and say, hey guys, I don't know how crazy this is, but 8% of the people order Max Spaghetti.
Mm-hmm.
So now you've taken the simplest prototype without creating any pasta and you've tested your first hypothesis. Because if that was wrong, right, you would have wasted all your time cooking. So now you actually have to cook something. So what would this, okay, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. So these were sort of the lessons that we want to have. The hypothesis we want to test. Will they order fries with it? I mean, to McDonald's it means a lot, right? What if I launch it and people like it so much they stop ordering burgers? And because spaghetti and fries is kind of a sick combination, you don't order it, and also spaghetti and Coca-Cola is a sick combination, so you find that out, and then people need forks, and it creates a whole mess. So there's a lot of questions that you need to answer. But the first one is, will people at McDonald's order spaghetti? Right, so the first prototype is the one that he just described. Fake door, run the experiment with 5 stores, different geographies, and then you run the return of prototyping investment. Okay, compare the cost. You actually wanted to cook pasta. Where is that man? He's not cooking. You don't cook pasta for McDonald's. Right. So if you do this little experiment, you would learn maybe 25%. What would you learn? If people would order it in the first place, right? But this is an important lesson because if people don't order it in the first place, it's going to be academic whether they order it again or if they order fries with that. So when you look at the cost of prototyping investment versus launching the full campaign, as always, it comes back with a very big number. Yeah, do this simple menu. Do this simple menu test. So possible outcomes: nobody orders it, which actually is what happened. Enough people order it, but you want to know if you want to go further, or you find out it's popular in some geographies and not in other. So in case 1 and 2 and 3, you need to do another prototype. Remember, you want to get to an MVP. You don't want to start with an MVP if you can avoid it. So now let's go from the fake door to an MVP combined with a one-night stand, or what I call, the local. So we run the first test with the initial level of interest. 15% people order Max Spaghetti, great. So now I'm going to demote you. Now you're actually serving Max Spaghetti. So Max Spaghetti is the write it, not so fast. So what about ongoing level of interest? Sorry, before I get to the example, I must explain the dead cat bounce. How many people of you know this term? Good. Right. So it's in Wall Street when the market goes down and all of a sudden, down 1,000 points, the next day is up 200. They say, oh, good, the bear market is over. But people say no. Even if you take a dead cat and you drop it off the ceiling, is going to bounce. I haven't tried it. I think it would just splat. If anybody wants to do the experiment, put it on YouTube with an already dead cat, probably. You'll find out. So why is this important to you? Because even if the dead cat bounces, I coined the dead cat king. Anybody from Microsoft here? Past, present, future? Hi. So I'm going to make fun of you, but I made fun of Google plenty. You agree? Right. So typically I say I don't name names, and but there are some products like Microsoft Bing. Maybe it's not a good example, but where your company has so much power that they can make something seem alive. So if you have a lot of marketing power, you keep investing. Again, I haven't tried this experiment. You can take a dead cat and you just have a video, or you plot the position. The dead cat, if you keep kicking it, is going to continue moving. It doesn't mean that it's a viable product. And unless you have Microsoft or Google resources to keep certain products alive, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
And remember, every time you apply stimulus, you will get a response. Another thing, one of my Italian compatriots did it with frogs. With that frog, you put some electricity and their legs would twitch. Why is this important? Because you as entrepreneurs, you want to drink your own Kool-Aid. You want to believe in your product. So you could create examples and tests that are too heavily biased in your favor. So in the McDonald examples, you believe in it so much, you say, all right, I'm not only going to serve Max Spaghetti, I'm going to play O Sole Mio in the background, and I'm going to replace all the colors with the Italian flag and have little gondolas, and I'm going to sell it for half the price and offer, Chianti wine with it. And then, of course, you're going to go and get great results, but, is this sustainable? No. You create artificial desirability, and then when it comes to viability, you cannot sustain that. That's why you need to test the ongoing level of interest before you quit your job for your startup or before you invest. So this percentage of people will continue to use your service. So in the case of Max Spaghetti, okay, 15% order it. Will they order regularly? And will they order it again? So now you're back demoted once again. So I come and say, yes, I would like to order Max Spaghetti. What do you do this time?
I would say, well, we have it on the menu. We could certainly go ahead. Have you tried to order it in the past?
Yes, exactly. So now you actually cook it and make it gooey. Now it's not going to be good. Spaghetti has to be made on the spot. But the key metric you want to do is how many people have ordered it twice. Because it makes a difference. If 15% of the people order it, 1% orders it again, like the Mac ribs. I mean, these are real life examples. Then you know that it's not a viable product. Right, so you create a one-night stand, you actually cook and serve, and keep track of metrics. Remember, skin in the game is there because I'm giving you money. Data is there because you're collecting actual numbers. This is a valid pretotype. Going into a McDonald's store and asking, hey, if we order spaghetti, if we offer spaghetti, would you order it? That's not a pretotype. That's an opinion. So again, the RPI, we're not going to go through this. You guys get, again, because I want to use some time for questions. So second, this is some data. I'll give you the slide so you can look at the numbers. They're not that interesting. So in conclusion, because we want to leave time for some questions, if you want to be an entrepreneur and you want to be successful, you need two ingredients. You need vision, and you need to actually have some foundational reality, because sometimes visions are just hallucination. It actually happens a lot, right? And humans work so well because we have this bicameral brain, right? The left side and the right side, and they communicate through this corpus callosum in the middle, and it's a balance of rationality and passion. So a lot of the time when you talk about the entrepreneurs, you focus on the vision and the ideas and passion. These are great. Don't let them disappear, right? If you're really passionate about your product. However, you want to try to balance with reality, prototypes, and data. So if you have an opinion that people are going to buy Instant App because everybody who travels needs to sleep and wants to sleep, great. That's a nice vision. You see everybody actually sleeping peacefully in economy class instead of complaining about the size of the peanut bag. Great vision, great opinion. I can see your passion in it. But imagine if you come back to me with the data. I'm ABC and said, hey, I went to 3 airports, and if we had this, we could have sold it to 15% of the people taking the flight. That's when I think you can find if you actually have the right fit. So if you want to learn more, there are 2 books. My famous Preto book, now translated into several languages. So if you're not US born, you can read it in other languages. My colleague Jeremy Clark wrote Pretotyping at Work. This is more aimed toward large companies that want to innovate like startups and go to market like grown-ups. There is a video I have on Stanford, and so I'm glad we finished in time, because I know probably some of you have to go back to work or something, to leave room for some questions. And then in the afternoon, Ash, right, can we make it more like 1:30 or 2 o'clock? People want, you'll be given 10 minutes to come up maybe with your idea, and we can give you some special consultation and coaching. But right now, let's have room for those of you who cannot stay around if you have any questions. Yes?
The type of data collection, a lot of people are now going, I see a lot of, even the people that the projects they pick, they seem to be a lot of social in nature, where you can build an app or a website and collect data. How much do you give any weightage to face-to-face data collection versus on-site data collection, which is further removed? People's personalities are further removed when they're on a computer.
Right.
So,
well, it depends on the application. I have a very hard time when people ask me, hypothetical questions to come up with the right prototype. Some things you definitely want the face-to-face interaction. Some things you could do remotely. If most of your strategy, if you cannot scale the person-to-person interaction, it has to depend on the web. Then you have to do it on the web. If, on the other hand, you plan to sell Instant App at the airport by having, people actually offering it to you, then that's the model that you need to sell. Yes, 1 and 2 then.
So if you get past the first prototype, you scale it up and continue to find out you have a viable product. What about utilizing Kickstarter at some point? Is that as valuable? I mean,
yes.
You're going to find out about skin in the game in Kickstarter, right?
Very good. Yeah. So Kickstarter is great for entrepreneurs. Why is it great? Because it's skin in the game, and that's exactly why it works, right? You're not asking, would you buy this? You actually have to put, it could be as little as $1, but that's skin in the game. The only downside is that you're letting your cat out of the bag, kind of in a pretty public way. So even though I told you that ideas are really, people will not just pay you for ideas, I think if you can test on a smaller scale, that's one of the advantages of prototyping. So when I work with large companies, they say, well, we're McDonald, we're a brand, we're famous for burgers. What if we introduce spaghetti? It's gonna, may destroy our brand. I say, okay, great. You can use a fake brand, some other name, McDonald. Or you can do it on a small group, so you don't let the whole world know that you're doing it. So if you're comfortable with your idea going to the world, and willing to live with that it may be copied, I think Kickstarter is fantastic. Actually, it's probably Kickstarter did the best. If it didn't exist, that's the thing that I would want to build. But a much better platform, I think, would be Preto starters, where you only reach a limited number of people, because you don't need to reach the 1 million people on Kickstarters, right? Remember, out of 1,000, you already can get some pretty good indication of what the numbers are. So the only problem with Kickstarter is you're broadcasting to the whole world.
So is there a Preto starter?
No. No, but I would create my own. I mean, you have friends, you have colleagues, you have people on LinkedIn. Create the video, launch it on a smaller scale, so you minimize the risk of it spreading.
Then you have to be pretty honest with yourself to make sure it's not biased and friendly.
That's true. That's why if you ask money to friends, you'll see. Yeah, sorry, the other question first, and then.
What would you say to somebody that's maybe testing? Do you advise?
Sorry, if you had
like testing a few ideas, or do you think that focus, like they talk so much about focus in startups, just not test phase, is it okay to toss in a few things and see what bites?
Well, so I'll tell you, the question is, focus versus spreading things. In my longer workshops, what I do is I have this concept, I call it pretotypability, right? So there's 2 scenarios. One is you have a passion, right? My passion is this, I'm going to build this, and the definition of a pivot is a change in tactics without a change in vision, right? So if your vision is, I want to help people sleep when they travel, I don't care. You may try instant app, different formulas, but you keep the vision. Some other people maybe in this room, I know I was there at some point, I just want to have a startup, build something that's successful so in the future I can build something I care about. In that case, I use a technique called pretotypability, right? I put a list of ideas. Hey, social network for dogs, social network for cats, beer for dogs, app, whatever. I put a bunch of ideas, and then for each of those, I think, how easy is it to pretotype, right? I run look at my return on pretotyping investment. So if I have a couple of partners, I would say, all right, we have 10 ideas. These we can test and fail pretty fast, right? So in the case of the airport, the failure would come pretty fast, or success would come pretty fast. In 1 week to say we will have a go or no go. So that's what I would prefer. If you are passionate about a specific market, then you should focus. Otherwise, try to have as many alternatives as possible.
For my case, I'm thinking maybe I put it in TikTok, say $1 to know your own health risk, and then see how many people sign up. You've got 1,000, then I go ahead and write the code. Otherwise, I just refund them all. Is that okay?
Yes. But even in the case you make it free, so remember he has the app that predicts your health. Right. So think about this. You want to find desirability before viability. That's how we're different from design thinking. Desirability is what people want it. Viability is, can I make a business out of it? Feasibility is, can I build it? So let's assume that you can build it. That's rarely a problem. The challenge is, can I make money with it and will people want it? In the best case scenario, when you pretotype, make it as easy as possible so that if it fails, it fails. So here's how you make it as easy as possible. You create an app, or maybe just a facade of an app, right? You make it available on the market for free. Maybe you even invest some money in advertising, Facebook ads or Google ads to bring some traffic. You just make it look really good. Then if people actually do not click or do not want it, and it's free and it's good, and maybe your friends write you some good phony reviews, whatever, to just make it good as possible, then you know that you have a best case scenario, and if people don't download it in the best case scenario, they're not going to download it if you actually charge for it. And by the way, anybody that's done apps, I have tons of friends. Most of them linger pennilessly in the market, and most of them, if you look at your phone, 90% of them you probably use once or twice, and not again. So it's a brutal market, and that's why you want to pretotype it.
Here may be an unbiased Preto starter. You can use SurveyMonkey. It's $1 per respondent if you do it nationwide. But if you tie it with a video, and you kind of have in your video that you buy, then you can combine that outreach with a purchase.
Okay.
As well.
The problem with SurveyMonkey is that it's a survey, and surveys don't have skin in the game. Now, if you could lead it to people that buy.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, actually, who wants to see a real-life pretotyping thing in action? But you must promise, and I'll take your word, raise your hand, I will not share with the rest of the world that this is a pretotype. Are you okay?
Put down the camera.
No, yeah, please don't record this. No, I'll find you.
Yeah.
Can you log me in for the guest Wi-Fi, or was that another task?
Just hack the dojo.
Oh,